Now, living well with LDS Hospital.
Spring is in the air and it's also in your house. It is time to spring clean those cupboards and your fridge and your freezer. And we're talking expiration dates because I have a tendency to leave things in my cupboard a little bit too long. This is Allie Spencer. She is a dietitian with LDS Hospital, and we're thrilled to have you here today, especially to talk about the fun expiration dates because it's not just an expiration date. There's all of these different dates that we see on our food.
And how do you know what they mean?
Yes.
And this is really fun. And so one of the things you'll see is you'll notice sell by on a lot of containers. And all that means is when the store needs to sell it by. It's not a hard, fast rule of when you need to use it by.
But when they only have the sell-by date on your food product, how do you know? I mean, it just seems odd that there's no other date there. So I've seen sell-by, which is right there. What about Best Buy?
So Best Buy,
we're not talking the electronics store.
No, so Best Buy or Use By are just when you should use it for the best quality. The interesting thing is a lot of these expiration dates are based on the quality or the flavor or the texture, not on the safety of the food.
Okay.
So if you've ever been in that situation where, ooh, is this safe to do or not? Odds are it's probably safe, but it may not taste very good.
So the 4-year-old can of soup that I had over the weekend, I didn't feel any after effects, so I might be okay.
It's probably safe, but maybe not as good as.
Okay, so 4 years is pushing the limit just a little bit?
Yes, but so with these sell-by dates, and then the other type of code you'll see is sometimes you'll just see random numbers or dates that you're not sure of, and those are just for the manufacturer. They have nothing to do with the sell-by, the use-by, or anything like that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, so now let's talk about how do we know then? Because we see all of these different dates on our product. How do we know they're safe and good for consumption?
So one of the things is with cans, so if it's a low-acid food, so something like soup or beans or something like that, you can keep them in your cupboards for 2 to 5 years.
Oh. Well, I just ate a 4-year-old can of soup, so I'm golden. I'm right there.
You're good to do. Things like rice or pasta really could be 2 years, and ideally they could last forever. That's the crazy thing is a lot of these things can last forever. One of the things with cans is you want to make sure that they're not dented or bulging, that there's no leaks. Even if there's a small dent, there's that possibility the inner lining is broken, in which case you don't want to use that.
So the dents, if they're dent-free, they're okay to use past that sell-by, use-by.
Yes, definitely.
Manufacture date, whatever
Definitely.
it is. Okay, so let's talk about things now that are in the fridge. How do we know? Because milk scares me.
Yes,
it really
so
does.
Milk and eggs and yogurt and things like that, those are actually designed, they have the sell-by date, but they're designed that with the intent that you're going to take them home and have them in your house for a while, right? So milk you can actually use 5 to 7 days after the sell-by date.
Oh, okay.
Yogurt you can do 7 to 10 days after the sell-by date, and eggs you can actually keep in your fridge for 3 to 5 weeks after the sell-by date.
Any time after that with eggs, you'll notice if you go to make a cake or something, the eggs just sort of stick to the shell. If they're doing that, probably don't use them.
Well, and it's maybe not that they're bad, but the air sac in there is getting bigger, and so you're not going to get as much.
Okay, what about the freezer? Because a lot of people like to stock their freezer and get a lot of food in there. What do we do about, how do we know?
Once you freeze something, it's good indefinitely. So as long as it's frozen, you know, you can ignore all of the use-by dates, everything like that. Once it's frozen, it's good to go.
Okay.
That'll change, right, if it's been thawed, if it has thawed and refrozen, but once it's frozen, you can ignore all those dates and you'll want to use it.
But sometimes you pull something out, like a big, slab of meat or something, a roast, and it's just got ice crystals and freezer burn all over it, and it tastes horrible. How do you get rid of that?
So what I recommend doing is try trimming off the freezer burn portion. You can do that before you cook it or after you cook it, but use it in a casserole, use it in a soup, use it in a stew, something like that, that it's not going to be really prevalent, but it's still safe.
It's safe.
It's still safe.
And that's the message. Don't just throw away food because a little number on your product says it's past due.
Exactly.
It could still be safe.
One exception that I didn't mention is in your fridge, you do want to use all meats by the use-by date.
Even in the freezer?
Not in the freezer, but in your fridge. So you want to use those within a couple days, but lunch meat or deli meat, anything like that, you want to use that by the use-by date.
Okay, good to know. And where can I remember all of this? Is there some sort of, is there an app for that?
There is an app, and I'm so excited about it. I didn't know about it. It's called the Food Keeper app, and you can look up just about any food you want. I was having a lot of fun with condiments, and how long should you keep it stored in your fridge? How long can you store it in your cupboard? All those things. And it's the Food Keeper app.
The Food Keeper app.
Yep.
That's a great one to
And it's
remember.
free. And it's really easy to use.
Oh, that'll save us a lot of money in the
Yes.
long run. We're not just throwing away food from our cupboard, our fridge, and our freezer. LDS Hospital, thank you so much for all of your great information. We sure appreciate that. For more information, ldshospital.org or 801-408-1100. Thanks, Allie. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we're talking about superfood breakfast cups. Now that sounds good.
Yeah, it does. Also, a little bit later, we have 4 tips for rocking your next race, whether you're running a